Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 934A, and today's date is April 1st, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Central Bank is Losing Control of the Manipulated Recovery. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we know today the job numbers came out, and the U.S. government central bankers are telling us that the economy is strong. And I started diving into the numbers and looking at everything. And what I can tell is they're right. The economy is getting strong. Everything that we've been talking about is not true. The economy, it's not collapsing. It's actually improving. And manufacturing, retail, GDP, it looks like the rest of this year, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So everything that we've been talking about to this point was a complete lie. No, actually, it's April Fool's, everyone. I hope I didn't scare everyone, but actually, when I looked into these numbers, they were completely a mess. They were manipulated, and we're going to talk about it. Now, out in the Eurozone, we see that the factory growth is very weak in March. And we understand that consumer sentiment is continually dropping. The economy in the Eurozone is flying on one engine. And we can see at this point, and that's from S&P, and we can see at this point that this whole thing in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, United States, UK, and around the private Western Central Bank world, everything is falling apart, it's collapsing, and it's not improving. Now, the U.S. government central bankers came out with their unemployment numbers. Now, the unemployment rate went up to 5% from 4.9%, and most likely what's going to happen is they're going to show a little rise, because we have to remember, we've been seeing a lot of layoffs, and a lot of retail stores close, and it's very difficult to continually manipulate all these numbers and keep a straight face. So we saw it tick up a little bit, but I'm sure before the elections, it most likely will go down to maybe around 4.8%. Now, the U.S. government central bankers are reporting that they added about 215 jobs, and we need to keep things in perspective here. And it's important to put the strength of some job numbers into the proper perspective. In the household survey, if you work as little as 1 hour a week, even selling stuff on eBay or anywhere else, you are considered employed. Yeah. In the household survey, if you work 3 part-time jobs, 12 hours each, you're a full-time employee. In the payroll survey, 3 part-time jobs count as, 3 jobs. And the BLS attempts to factor this in, but they do not weed out duplicate Social Security numbers. So we can see right now that there are a lot more jobs out there, but they're not real full-time single jobs. There might be multiple part-time jobs, but we can see at this point, from what we just said, this whole thing is completely manipulated. Now, if you work 1 hour, you are employed, like I said. If you don't have a job and you fail to look for one, you are not considered unemployed. You've dropped out of the labor force. Now, even if you're looking on Monster.com or Dice or any other of the job websites, and you're continually looking, that doesn't count. You need to actually send a resume, and your resume has to be answered with an interview. That is what is counted. So all these people are sitting in their house saying, I can't find a job. There's nothing out there. And I'm looking on Dice, I'm looking on Monster, I'm looking on all these different sites, I'm going to a headhunter, and no one's calling me up. I'm sending my resumes to whatever I possibly can, but I'm not getting an interview. Now, have you really stopped looking for a job? No, you are looking. But guess what? In their new calculations that they've been doing since 2008, they're just not counting anyone. Now, what were the jobs that were added in March? Well, when we look at this, we see nearly 2/3 of all jobs, and the three top categories of all job additions were minimum wage jobs. Education and health added 51,000. Retail trade, 48,000. I have a little problem with that number. Leisure and hospitality, 40,000. And these three top sectors accounted for 65% of all job gains. The growth of minimum wage labor took place while some of the highest paying jobs disappeared, like manufacturing, mining, transportation, warehousing. So this right now, what we just discussed, is a complete disaster. But they're spinning it to make it seem like everything is fine. Now, Market reports U.S. manufacturing also rose 51.51 in March. 51.5 in March. Now, this is kind of odd. Now we're seeing a little bit of a dead cat bounce. We discussed this, how this works, where, yes, everything is drawn down, orders will be placed, but we have to remember, this is a little blip. We're still contracting, because when you look at this, manufacturing had the biggest drop in jobs since 2009. And this tells you something, that they got rid of all these people because there is no manufacturing. Now, of course, they're turning it around today, making it seem like everything is fabulous. And this is how propaganda works. This is how the illusion works, to make everyone think that everything is absolutely fine. How many jobs were lost in manufacturing? 29,000 manufacturing jobs were lost. Virtually every laid-off manufacturing worker, they were able to find a job as a waiter in March. The workers in the food and services and drink places. Now, even though the restaurant index is continually dropping, that will start having an effect probably a little bit later on in the summer, as we move through the spring and summer. But we're talking about the past right now. Remember, every time we talk about something, it's what happened in the past. And it looks like right now bartenders and waiters, cooks, set an all-time new record high of about 11 million workers, an increase of 25,000. So we lost 29,000 manufacturing, and we gained 25,000 jobs in the service industry. And this is what's been going on for a very long time. Now, the retail sector, I said I had a problem with the 48,000 jobs added, because when you go to Challenger Gray and Christmas, they have a different story. And as we see more and more stores close, you would think more and more people are being laid off. Well, that's exactly what's happening. Retail job cuts were up 41% year over year. We're also seeing big cuts in the computer sectors, where layoffs are up 148% since last year, the same quarter. So retail right now is up 41%. Stores are closing. People are being laid off. And of course, the retail numbers are going up. Something doesn't make sense once again. And we're continually seeing more and more layoffs. And this means they're having a very tough time trying to manipulate all these numbers. And they're losing a little bit of control at this point. Walmart right now, for the first time ever, well, at least since the company went public 45 years ago, they said their revenue shrank from the year before, according to its annual financial filing. So their revenue has gone down. And why do you think the rest of the stores are closing? Because sales are going down. People are not spending. That means stores are closing. People are getting laid off. Even the automobile industry, despite everyone saying everything is awesome, the auto sales exuberance, well, it hit the wall. And we know that automobile manufacturers have been giving incredible incentives. And auto sales rose only 0.6%. They thought it was going to rise 6%. It's starting to slow already. And we can see right now, J.D. Powers notes, there are worrisome trends below the surface. And this is the first time there's been a year-over-year decline in sales since 2010, back in August. So we're moving into a problem here. And we can see from all the real economic indicators, from everything that we've been looking at, things are still not improving. Yes, they can spin it any way they want. They can manipulate it, make people believe that everything is fine. Look at the stock market. It's continually going up. The Atlanta Fed is estimating that the first quarter, the U.S. economy only grew at 0.7%. And we're seeing that this whole thing, this whole economy, will not improve. Now, are they going to try to manipulate the numbers to make it seem like it's going to improve? Of course they are. Are they going to go back and revise numbers to make the next quarter seem a lot better? Of course they are. We've seen this time and time again where they add inventories, they add Obamacare, they manipulate the numbers, they revise the previous quarter a lot lower to make this one a lot higher, and they move stuff all around. But in reality, we can take a look around and we can see that everything is really falling apart. Very interestingly, construction spending fell in February, even though we're having this incredible boom of new construction. Well, we can see we're not. For West Virginia right now reports that they are in a recession. And we're starting to see credit markets. They are signaling that the debt-fueled expansion that began in 2010, well, is turning to bust right now. Globally, interest rates are close to zero and even negative in Europe and Japan. Long-term government bond yields are very low. This is sending a very clear and ominous signal that the world cannot service any more debt. The last time the world deleveraged was the Great Depression. The Great Depression was the destructive deflation that gripped the economy. And deflation destroys financial assets like stocks, corporate bonds, hard assets like real estate. It also lowers incomes while making debt more expensive to service as debt-to-income ratios rise. And what we're seeing right now is the same type of scenario playing out that we saw back in the Great Depression. Europe is a complete mess, and it's sliding over, and it's going to hit the United States once the manipulation and the reality of what's really going on completely separates. Everyone's going to realize, whoa, the economy never improved. It's collapsed. And all of this was an illusion. That's what we're going to see. Now, Saudi Arabia, they're saying they're going to freeze oil production only if Iran joins. Of course, this is their competition. They don't want them producing a lot more oil than they are. And this is why they're out there saying this. Now, the U.S. is going to allow Iran limited access to dollars right now. And the proposal comes in response to Iran's growing criticism saying that, listen, we abide by the nuclear agreement, and we're starting to see that the U.S. is not keeping their end of the deal. And they want more of the U.S. dollars. And of course, they're probably going to take them and trade them in for gold, yuan, euros, any other currency but the dollar. So everything that we've been looking at, going back in time here, watching and reporting each and every one of these economic indicators, we've created a story where the reality of the economy and the illusion of the economy are moving in two different directions. And we can see at this point the central bank, the U.S. government, are trying everything they possibly can. And it looks like this is the last chance where they get to go all in to manipulate this economy as best they possibly can to bring everything up to say everything is fine. Actually, we saw this back in the Great Depression. Right before everything collapsed, everything was pushed up and everyone thought everything was fine. Actually, back in 2008, the same thing happened. And it looks like at this point right now, we are seeing the same exact thing happen, where they're making everyone believe that everything is fine, pushing the market up as high as it possibly can go, trying to suppress gold as best they can, manipulating all the numbers to make everyone believe that we are absolutely fine. There is nothing to worry about until everything comes to a screeching halt. And that will happen in a split second, where all of this that they've been talking about since 2008 will completely disappear. I mean, think about it. Go back to 2008. They talked about how great the economy was. 2006, 2007, 2008, continually throughout that year. In a split second, all of that talk, that entire illusion, completely disappeared in one day. That's all it took. And we're going to see the same thing happen once again. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.